In a surge of creativity, he wrote 15 songs in a matter of weeks.
This is pretty much the setup, I think. I had a little chair here. Mike was over there with this tape player.
And one January night in 1982, it was time to record.
The acoustics of this room.
Not bad. The orange shag carpet makes it really dead. There's not a lot of echo, so...
Not just beautiful to look at.
Not only was it beautiful, it came in handy.
So happy New Year and welcome to the first episode of Trimming the Musical Fat in 2026, the podcast where we trim albums that are too damn long. I'm Stephen Nicholson, and today I plan to go all mournful, one call the acoustic and lo-fi, as my guests and I create the under 50-minute TTMS supercut of Bruce Springsteen's 1982 album, Nebraska. First up, Bruce Springsteen fan and Nebraska hater, Davie Melon.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
And I think that the hate part will come through loud and clear during today's episode. And recent speaker at the Born to Run 50th Anniversary Symposium held at, is it Monmouth? Renee, Monmouth?
Monmouth.
Yeah, held at Monmouth University in New Jersey and organised by the Bruce Springsteen Archives and Centre for American Music. It's Renee James, which makes you sound very, very important, Renee, doesn't it?
Quite a mouthful. Wow, thank you for that.
It really was. We'll maybe just talk about that experience in a second, but we're recording this a couple of days after New Year's Day 2026, so we're just coming out of the festive period, and I don't know if Davie, like me, you're going back to work tomorrow after time off?
No, Tuesday for me.
Oh, no.
One more day.
You're lucky I'm back tomorrow. But did you both have good festive seasons?
Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yep, very nice. Full of
Good.
family, friends, and music, and food, and all those good things. Yeah.
And laughter and all the rest. Excellent.
Yep.
So, Rennie, so you had the privilege of obviously hosting an event at the Bruce Springsteen Symposium, and I know Davie and I have watched the recording of that, which was
Thank you.
And it was excellent. So, what was the experience like for you? And aside from the part that you did, what were some of the other events like there?
Well, the part that I did was it was a couple of day event. Most of it took place over a weekend. The part that I did was a Sunday. And because of my participation in that, I was able to get a ticket to the Saturday events. And that is where they, from start to finish, just put people on and off stage all day talking about Born to Run in all kinds of ways. Musicians who were on it, A&R representatives from Columbia who marketed the album throughout the country. So they all had different perspectives talking about the run-up to the release and the aftermath of the release, including, John Landau, of course, including all the musicians who were on Born to Run, David Sancious, Boom Carter, all these people that you know and you love their artistry, but you don't hear from them. So it was a treat to see them and hear from them and have them speak directly to that moment. But I think, and part of what made it extraordinarily special for me, for most of us, I guess, in the audience, was they had those bags where you lock up your phone. I don't know if you've been to venues like that where you hand over your phone. You get to keep the bag, but you can't get to your phone. And I thought, there's a reason they're doing this. It's not because they don't want pictures of the A&R guys out on the. There's a reason. Anyway, so there were presentations all day. I'll just talk to maybe two or three of them. One was the album cover shoot where Pam Springsteen, who was a photographer, interviewed Eric Miola, who shot and it was fascinating. I mean, his backstory is fascinating of itself, but he came to this, as a photographer, but not one with great renown. He was a commercial photographer, and they did it in his studio in New York. And I don't know if either of you have attended professional photo shoots, but, when you go, there's catering and music and people and wardrobe and hair, there's 40 people in the room. This was Eric and Bruce and Clarence. That was it. And they came with the clothes on their back. They did not have wardrobe changes. They came with their instruments and the clothes on their back. And I think the only thing Bruce brought along were the sneakers and Elvis button. Very little, very little. And they had played the night before. And Eric said they were exhausted. He said, I have 200 shots of them yawning, on my outfit. They were tired, but they were exuberant. They were happy to be there and wanting to do this. And he just kept firing away. And they were posing, moving, doing different things. And he said when he got that shot, he knew it. He knew it as a photographer would, right? And, just the expanse of it and the look on Bruce's face, Clarence, the whole thing. However, he was concerned about it because he thought, how are they going to put this on an album, the front of an album, which is, of course, square. And this is this, landscape kind of image. But he thought, well, that's not my problem. I'm not the art director. But if they do, they're going to have to cut off the neck of the guitar. They're going to have to cut off, it's going to diminish what I'm seeing. Anyway, he took it to the art director and said, here it is. Here, this is the one I really love. Here are all of them. But I don't know how you would use it. And the art director said, you're right. This is it. And he folded it in half. And he said, this is how we're going to do it, front and back. And he was like, of course, that's why you have an art director, to work out all of that. So that was a tremendously interesting, just story behind the story, which was great. And of course, it's become what it has, as this iconic. So that was fabulous. And then so all morning they had these people on. And then in the afternoon, it was basically Bruce on stage all afternoon. And the auditorium held about 650 people. So it was very intimate. Different people. He was speaking to different people all afternoon. And honestly, I sat in the dark and I took all these notes and I'm trying to read them but I can't read my own writing. But some of it was, there was one story he told where one of the executives at Columbia listened to the album and said, okay, I know what you're going for here. I hear it. It makes a lot of sense. Here's what I'd like to do. Why don't you meet me downtown? I don't know, Thursday night or something. We'll get some session guys in and they can play it the way it should be. And you can hear what it should be. And Bruce said, yeah, I'm not doing that. This is how it should be. I'm not meeting you. I don't want anybody else to play it. This is my band. These are my guys. That's it. And I just thought, where do you get the guts? He didn't have a track record, as you know. He was on thin ice. And to have an executive say to you, this is how we're going to record and release this album, and have you say, no, we're not, was interesting. And he said it wasn't because he thought he knew everything. It was because he thought, I'll always make a living in music. It doesn't matter to me if I play to 50 people or 5,000. I want to make the living I want to make. And I thought, well, you can do that when you're 25. He was a young guy with, very little obligation to anyone, really, just to his own passion. So that was interesting. He just, at that point, it was just, no, this is what I'm going to do. It'll work with Columbia or it won't, but it's going to be on terms, which I thought was fantastic.
Integrity,
absolutely. He said, there were so many great things he said, but he said when he learned that his first two albums, I think, had sold like 23,000 copies or 30,000 copies, he was like, wow, who are all those people? Like, he looked like he was 18 years old. I mean, it was just, and I couldn't believe people I never heard of bought my album, and they were like, no, you don't understand. This is terrible. This is no good. And he was giddy, so excited. So that was fun to hear. And then he said a couple things. Let me just find these real quick. He said, I told you about the session thing. He said the album sounds exactly how he dreamed it would sound and exactly how he wanted it to sound, which I thought was phenomenal. One of the things he said in different ways over and over again was that when he records and when he goes on stage, he's what he calls protecting the audience's experience. And then he said, your ticket is my handshake to you that we're going to have a good night together. And then he did one of his Bruce riffs and said, I'm the sheriff, I'm the parish priest, I'm the CEO, I'm the guy who's going to make this work. And it was so quintessential Bruce, right? And then the really, I don't know, there was Jimmy Iovine was on stage, the producer, one of the, who was hilarious and brilliant. And somebody asked him, what did you feel like being there? Because he was so young, he was 22 or whatever he was at the time. And he said, I felt like I was playing Little League in right field and saying, don't hit it to me, don't hit don't hit it to me because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to drop it, and which was hilarious. And he said, but they trusted me. They trusted me. And he said, the only thing I wanted to hear from Bruce was that sounds good. And it took forever because all he heard for weeks and weeks is no, again. And all he really wanted to hear was, that sounds good. So, but he did say, these guys took me as a kid. They taught me everything about music. Everything. And then and I wrote this down to not miss it. All the positive in my life came out of meeting these guys. That is a statement. All the positive in my life came out of meeting these guys. It was like, wow, But then Bruce said at the end, which again, I was like crying because it was adorable. He said, despite all of the challenge and the over and over again and the relentless work and all of the setback, whatever, he said, these were the guys who were there when I needed them. I had nothing. I had no one, and they gave me everything. And I was just, this is 50 years later. And all of these men are sitting on stage, and you could tell they were very moved. And they gave me everything. They gave me my life. And he's right. Musically, at least they gave him a career that has flourished, to put it mildly. But anyway, it was truly wonderful. And then at the end, I'll wrap up with this. At the end of that day, because again, all the musicians were sitting on stage, and in the back all day long, you saw instruments covered up with cloth, and you thought, okay, something, right? And then the guy who heads up the archives, Bob Santelli, came out and said, I've wanted to say this my whole life, ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And everybody played. Boone played, right? Davie played, but Roy played too. And, it was two drummers and two keyboard people, and they played Thunder Road and Born to Run. And it was just like, I can't believe I'm standing again. The whole audience is standing up, and of course, no phones. So we were all,
which makes it more special.
Yes, it was like in the moment. We are looking. We are, jumping around and singing, and I was 30 feet away from Stephen. Like, I can't, this is impossible that I could go up and shake his hand, So it was a moment that, of course the archives probably, certainly filmed it, but we all had that moment, and nobody has it on there. And it was just, it was spectacular.
Amazing.
It was
what an experience.
It was really, and I just kept thinking about all the people I wished were there, just like, I could think of people I wish were sharing this with me, but, it was
such an intimate setting. Almost like a one-on-one type.
Yeah.
You're getting this small concert at the end of this wonderful interview experience.
Yes.
But
you could tell
the thing is,
go ahead.
Sorry, you go, Rennie.
No, I was going to say, you could tell that there was still so much affection, even between the men who had long since gone on to other parts of their career.
Yeah.
There was no, I got left in the dust, or I got it. No, it was all affection. And we were together at the moment we should have been together. And it's all good,
It's like lightning in the bottle, isn't it?
Yes. And they just, what was also very funny and very believable was early on, I think it was it Gary? Yeah. Gary was on stage and, talking about the old days, and they did a little bit of pre-Born to Run talk, and the interview was talking about a concert tour they did in 74 or something like this. And he said, so what do you remember? And Gary said, I don't remember a thing. It was 51 years ago. It was hilarious. It was just like, yeah, I bet. It wasn't this moment of his life. It was just, he was a working musician. He was out there playing. Ask me what I played in 1972. I don't know. I was just out there playing. So it's important to us. But to him, I was at work.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. It wasn't a moment.
Yeah. And the significance of it isn't until decades later where that was significant. Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So it was just so funny for him to be so candid and just be like, I don't remember a thing. And I thought the interview was probably like, oh no, what am I, don't tell me that.
What's my next question? Quick. Yeah.
How do I follow that? It was funny.
Brilliant. Oh, what an experience. And fantastic you got the opportunity to host your own part of it as well.
Yeah.
Talking of which, any progress on the Born to Run
I
musical?
am hopeful. I have opened up a conversation with someone who might be able to help do a little bit with getting this staged, even in part, even a little. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep that conversation going. He's gone a little dark on me, but I'm hoping it's just I'm you know me. I'll just keep going till
Yeah.
someone finally slaps me down and says, stop doing this. So so far it's just been little baby steps towards something, and we'll see. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Myself and Davie will keep our tuxedos primed, ready, locked and loaded for the Broadway premiere. We'll jump on that plane here and head over the Atlantic.
Love it. I love it.
Special guests. We're more than happy to do that, Renee.
And I will hop over when it premieres in Edinburgh. So
Well, there we go.
there it is.
Yeah, the touring one. Yes. We'll get the touring one to Edinburgh. There we are.
Or even the West End's fine.
The West
quite
End,
happy
yeah.
to go to the West End.
We'll head down to the West End in London. It's fine, yeah. Yeah, we'll go down to London. It's fine. It's just a couple hours on the train. We're flexible.
There it is. Okay.
I know. Fingers crossed, though, Rennie. It'd be
Dream.
absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Mhm.
I'll keep my fingers and toes crossed for
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hey, well, let's get back to Nebraska, and let me share some facts about the original album and the recent Electric Nebraska release before we go on to talk about it. It's a tale of the tape. Nebraska is the sixth studio album by the American singer-songwriter Bruce Springsteen. It was released on September the 30th, 1982 through Columbia Records. Springsteen recorded the songs unaccompanied on a 4-track recorder in the bedroom of his home in Colts Neck, New Jersey. And this was the subject of a movie last year in 2025, Me From Nowhere, starring Jeremy Allen White as the boss. And the album Nebraska was the follow-up to 1980's The River, which is my favourite Bruce Springsteen album. Into best of lists, in 1989 it was ranked 43rd on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 100 greatest albums of the 90s. And the album has a 3.88 out of 5 rating on rateyourmusic.com. Sales-wise, it sold around about 2 million. Chart-wise, it got to number 3 here in the UK, and similarly, it got to number 3 over in the US, where it went platinum. Over here in the UK, it went gold. So, that's the facts. Let's talk about it. So, we're all Bruce Springsteen fans here. On previous episodes, we've talked a little bit about Nebraska. You guys know I love Nebraska for its bleak acoustics storytelling. You guys don't, so it might be worth just sharing with the listeners perhaps why Nebraska perhaps originally and still just doesn't do it for you. And I want to come to Davie, the Nebraska hater. Why do you not like Nebraska, Davie?
I like the way that you compared it there to probably like at the time when Dylan went electric. And I think at that time there might have been a lot of fans out there that didn't believe he should go electric and called him Judas for doing such a thing. And I think he's done the opposite of he's gone acoustic and like, why have you done this? What's happened here? This is not the Bruce Springsteen sound that I've come to know and love. So yeah, it took a wee while to get used to it, but it's just one of these things. It just sounds a bit monotone to me, the whole album. It doesn't really spark out in the different directions. It's just got this sound that just sounds the exact same through the whole album, and it's probably just him on his own. It comes across as an album. The finished album is an album of demos, which basically it was. It was just him in his room recording on a tape, and it's never kind of progressed from there. Well, some of the tracks on the expanded edition have like added a bit of electric guitars into them, but you don't ever hear a lot of many of these songs perform live at any point, apart from Atlantic City, which is when it's played with the E Street Band, is a great song. It's almost like going into the recording process, and it just not what could happen if the studio got in there and then they started doing all the tricks they do. I mean, the examples, there's 2 versions of Born to Run in this album for this expanded edition.
Born in the
both of them-
USA, you mean?
Born in the USA, sorry. And both of them aren't a patch on once the E Street Band have been bought into it and become the song that we're all familiar with now. So you can see the way that it's developed over the recording process, that particular song, to what it is today. But the two versions of that, although interesting, they're just not for me. I think I've heard he did an acoustic version of Born in the USA on the Madison Square Live album, and when you listen to it, it just kind of takes you out of it.
Okay.
That album is brilliant, but yeah, I would just say it's just, to me, it's like a demo that's never been improved on.
Okay. And Renee, I think you originally were similar thoughts when it comes to Nebraska. Would that be right?
Yes, I agree that there was sort of you took the first couple albums and you were expecting the same kind genre, even. This isn't rock and roll, really. I mean, whatever. It's all kinds of things. But, he did set up an expectation, which is his prerogative to change, and he certainly did. So I think I was perplexed by it. I wasn't a fan. We heard Atlantic City. I think that had a video on MTV or something. There were some call outs, and I like Atlantic City. I like the song. I like the melody. I like the story. But yeah, I was kind of off, just not really understanding it. And I think I remember him saying or reading an interview where he said, if anybody years from now wants to know who I was, they need to listen to Nebraska. And I thought, what? Where's Born to Run? Honestly, I just thought, seriously, that's interesting, and I guess he meant, who knows, seriously, introspectively. I'm a troubled soul. I have, these kinds of demons in me. I have, okay, that's fair, I suppose. And some of those also appear on other records. So, but one of the things I read that I thought was exactly kind of how I felt about it, you're going to have to want to listen to it. It doesn't make you want to listen to it. Yeah, because if you're feeling bleak and horrible, drop that needle because it'll help. It'll just, reinforce all of the horribleness. But do people wake up and say, can't wait to listen to Nebraska? I suppose people do. Anyway, so that was.
I think it was the way that you say that, it's like more like the songs on like Stolen Car on the River, for example. They're seen as more bleak songs, but they're still a great listen to. But where you put these songs on, they just don't have that heft behind them of like, say, a Stolen Car or some of the songs on the River.
Right. And I think you're right. I think part of that is the starkness of the recording, that there's not a lot to lose yourself in. It's very, cut back. So, but anyway, when I re-listened to it and when we look at what we actually selected, I did defer a lot to Electric Nebraska. I just like the sound of the band. I like what those different instruments add to these pieces. I think they just fill them out. It feels more lush. It feels more evocative of the feelings he's trying to create, which are there in the original recordings, but I just think they're enhanced. I don't think it diminishes it at all. So a lot of mine deferred back to that, but I did stick with the original Nebraska. Anyway, that's to that stuff. But so yeah.
Yeah, it's probably worth explaining for those that don't know the history around this. So ultimately, Bruce did record these at home, 4-track recorder, and if you actually see the movie, you'll find out about that whole recording process, which was interesting, is one word for it. But what they wanted to do was try it out with the band as well to maybe flesh the songs out. And Bruce ultimately rejected that. He preferred the original acoustic ones he did on his own. So with Electric Nebraska, which has just recently come out, and we're now getting to hear officially for the first time the band electric versions of these songs as a companion piece to the original acoustic album. So it makes for an interesting listen. I mean, for me personally, by and large, I still prefer the more stripped back versions, and I agree with Bruce. And I think the songs that were recorded around about the time of Nebraska that were then subsequently, if you like, re-recorded with the Street Band for Born in the USA, I think those Born in the USA ones are better with the band. So with Davie there. But yeah, so Rennie, it sounds like you prefer the Nebraska songs in the electric versions by and large. Davie, it's not making much of it. It's not moving the dial for you. And across that, the entire set, on that the re-release, have you got a favourite song from it, Rennie?
I think my favorite song is My Father's House.
Yeah, beautiful song.
And I do have some questions for you about that. And these are really, is a front porch an American thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't really find many front porches over here in the UK.
That's what I thought. I mean, I wondered, and I
Yeah.
don't want to assume. And in America, and this is a sort of a generalized statement, but I think it's largely true. Front porches are not on mansions. They're not on estates.
Mm.
They're on middle class houses or,
Yes.
working class houses. So
Yeah.
even him using that phrase to describe his father's house is all you need to know about their economic
Right.
status. And I didn't
Right,
know
there you
that translated. Clearly it does. It's not that obtuse, but I didn't think they really were a thing in the UK.
No, and I think when we watch, if you like, American movies, and it's, if you like, the bog standard street, and everyone's got the nice porch to go out and have a beer on a seat. Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, well, you always have front garden, like you.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Generally, we would have the front garden. Yeah, if you've got a house. Yeah. So
Anyway, I just thought that was one question I had about. I have a couple.
They all had porches and Boys in the Hood as well, if I remember correctly.
that's right. Yeah.
So, but that's my favorite.
So that was yours.
Yeah.
My father. So what about you, Davie?
That is a great song, but I like the electric version of Atlantic City. The most thing that just reminds me of hearing the electric version in Hamden many years ago, 2012 or something like that it was.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, no, I love it.
Good memories from that. I would go with Highway Patrolman from the original 82 album, which I think is absolutely genius storytelling. Absolutely love that song. Always just stood out to me.
Now, I've
You've still not seen The Indian Runner yet, Steve? No?
I've still not seen the movie. No.
neither. And I mean, what a cast. I think it's probably fabulous, right?
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen, David Moore.
Yeah. Anyway, I haven't either.
Yeah,
I
I
looked
need
for it to see if it was around, but I couldn't find it.
I need to get to that, but yeah, I love that song. And what did you guys think of last year's Bruce movie, Deliver Me from Nowhere? I know we've all seen it, but what were your thoughts, Davie?
Yeah, but I thought it was like a perfectly acceptable biopic, but it doesn't kind of have like the heft of say a Ray or what was it, Johnny Walk to the Line. I think they've had more troubled life than Bruce Springsteen has. I mean, it didn't come across, because we all know how successful Bruce Springsteen is. We don't really see him as a sort of suffering sort of adversity. Certainly not in a cinematic way. And it certainly didn't come across in this movie. Like, okay, he had like some problems with his parents and that, but who doesn't? And he had a bit of mental health issues at the time of making the album. And again, so you can recognise it, but in terms of the way it's played in the movie, it didn't come across as like one of these Oscar contenders that they thought it was going to be, especially with Jeremy Allen White's performance as Bruce Springsteen, which was, I thought he was brilliant, but it just didn't stick out like, say, Timothy Chalamet, Bob Dylan, for example. I mean, Bob Dylan didn't really have the adversity that these other people, but that came across as a great movie. So I don't know if it was just the directors that failed to, or the writers that failed to live up to the bill, but I think it was a good film without being great. Yeah, it was interesting to see inside the music making progress of this, but again, it's just, I don't think it was kind of the film I was expecting. This is just like a wee snapshot of Bruce Springsteen's life rather than being like a massive biographical film.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because Rennie and I had a brief chat yesterday, off camera, so to speak. And that was why I said I found the actual recording of the songs the most fascinating part of the movie. The busted tape recorder and how they were trying to fix the sound. And I found all of that really, really fascinating. And I would have been happily watched the documentary and all that side of things.
So almost like they just tried to shoehorn a bit of or like parental adversity in there. Just like, I just felt quite out of place, and like Stephen Graham, like just in a big fat suit. Like,
I wouldn't disagree with you there. Yeah. It's but what was your thoughts on the movie, Rennie?
I think, with some of and I saw the movies you were referencing, Davie, the Ray movie about Ray Charles and Johnny Cash and all that. And it seems like so many of these, there's an arc of you're coming up, you do well, and you fall into this life of debauchery and misery, and whether it's sexual or drug related or alcohol, or there's something that just gets hold of you, all of the above, and you have this horrible crisis, and then people who love and care for you bring you out of it, and on you go, right? There's just this little arc, and that's compelling, and I like both those movies, and all of that. But I think it also helped that I wasn't very familiar with a lot of details for any of those people. I knew their music as much as anybody does because they're super geniuses, but I didn't know their lives. So as a viewer, I was entertained, if you want to use that word, by watching that whole thing evolve, right? And having them come out on the other end whole and, fulfilled and continuing to pursue their passion. I think I knew a little too much maybe about this. And I kind of agree with you, Stephen, that the part about how we made this happen was largely unknown to even fans, I would think. All of the detail behind that. How do we fix this? How do we do it? What do we, blah, 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 all that stuff. That was interesting to me. I did think, though, I did like Stephen Graham. I thought, yes, you all have parental problems, but this was a bipolar problem. This was a significant problem that went undiagnosed, and he still had to raise a family and had children and a wife and obligations. I don't know. Could they have touched on it more? Yes, but they had to make decisions about what they were doing. So I kind of like that, and I think the light moments of the Mansion on the Hill stuff was just a breath that you could take that said it was not all or disaster. So I think the second time I watch it, I'll like it a lot more. I think
I
I'm
agree.
not sure what to expect. So now I do know. Maybe I'll take a little bit more away from it.
I agree. And actually, when I left the cinema, my first thought was, obviously, Bruce Springsteen has had an incredibly interesting life, and we've all read the Born to Run autobiography. And my thought was, it's just actually primed for a really good Netflix TV series based on his life, even if it was something, taking each couple of years of his life, an episode or an album.
Right.
It would be hugely entertaining.
Yeah.
And I suppose you're following that career path of starting out and getting your record contract, getting your first 2 albums out, not being that successful, the blockbuster of Born to Run, and then continue from there. Then we get the Personal Demons, Nebraska. Then we get the comeback and the biggest album of his career.
Yeah.
In the USA. Then we get the divorce with Tunnel of Love. So come on, there's some good stuff there.
His life is in his music. All you have to do is really be paying attention.
Yeah.
Or at least his worldview. If it's not personally his
Absolutely.
life, it's what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What do I need to write about? So it's all there. It's kind of out
It is.
already. And yeah, I think Tunnel of Love is as close as you get to this one in terms of his inner anxiety. And
Yeah.
what he's
Wears its heart on its sleeve.
what he's struggling with at that time.
Yeah. But there we go. It may happen. I'm sure somebody's somewhere's probably writing something.
Working on that, right?
Somebody's on it.
Hello listeners, this is David from In the Lap of the Pods Queen podcast, and you are listening to another episode of Trimming the Musical Fat. Slanjava.
So it's time to start curating side 1 of our records for selection. We're including 27 of the 37 songs that feature on the Nebraska 82 Expanded Edition, and we are omitting the 10-track live set from the release, which was basically a more recent live recording of the original album made by Bruce. So the first song that gets on was only selected by Renee and I, and it is the original version of the title track, Nebraska.
I saw her standing on her front lawn.
So what made you go for that one, Rennie?
I'm a sucker for a harmonica intro to a song. But I think it more than any one, it really does set the stage for the album and the stories that are coming. Plus, I think the melody's beautiful. And what's funny, odd to me about it is it's a beautiful melody telling a horrible story. You could put other lyrics to that, it would work perfectly as a beautiful love song. But it's just this psychopath, gently retelling his horror story. But it's lovely if you just had to hum it,
Dee dum dee dum dum.
including I'm going to get killed, I'm going to get executed. It's just like, what in the world? So that's why. I mean, I just think it really does set up the album. And I don't mind the starkness of the original at all.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And for those that don't know, it's about a guy, as Rennie was talking about there, it's about a guy, Charles Starkweather, who was a teenage murderer who in 1958 went on a killing spree with his girlfriend, resulting in the deaths of 11 people. But yeah, I'm with you, Rennie. I love the song, and it was nice to hear the electric version on the new set, but I didn't think it was a patch on the original. I think in its original acoustic version, the storytelling is just more powerful, stripped back, and I think the vibe, the mood is that bit more special in its original form as well. So that's why I went for that. Any comments on Nebraska, Davie?
Yeah, well, like you say, it does take you into the album of what to expect coming forward. There's a lot of storytelling going on in the album, which is good. And again, I do like the harmonica in this one, so I probably should have picked it.
Thank you. So Nebraska gets on. The second track that gets on to side one of the record is a unanimous choice. Hooray! Although we don't agree on which version. It's Atlantic City. You guys went for the electric version. I went for the acoustic. So, Davie, let me come to you first. You've obviously heard Bruce perform Atlantic City in concert as well. What do you like about the tune?
Yeah, it's just got a bit more. It's probably a bit more energy, if you want to say energy. Well, the original version has probably the most energy that's on this album. But once you add the band into it, it just elevates it a lot higher, and it just shows you what you can do, or how good like having the E Street Band is, or what they bring to Bruce Springsteen and what they can add to what he comes up with. You can just see how it all marries together, and it becomes like future songs like Born in the USA, which we've got a couple of versions of this, and then just shows you what the E Street Band bring to the whole. I don't want to say it's not a couple; it's like the whole band and Bruce together. How they just elevates. It's like the Beatles compared to Paul and John solo album.
And Rennie, you preferred the electric one as well?
I did. I think it's a pretty heavy song, as many of these are, of course. And I think there's so many people involved in this song. There's, the commissioner, whoever, the DAs, the criminals, the gangs, the guy who's telling the story. And I think having the whole band involved just brings layers to that song that don't exist as clearly in the first one. Plus the couple, who aren't giving up on Atlantic City. They're not giving up on each other. I agree with Davie. I think that the band just adds layers and a heaviness to match the story. There's a lot of stuff going on here. None of it good. Not one admirable person in the story, really. But the band is here. So that's why.
Wow. Great to hear your comments, guys. I mean, obviously it's a Bruce all-time classic, this song. I kind of go with the reverse of you, though. I think the electric version lacks energy. And the reverse, I just think it lacks, for me anyway, it lacks the kind of secret sauce that the original has. And as you say, yeah, it's a poignant song. Explores themes of desperation, hope, the American dream, and everything there, which is I think ties in with the more acoustic take, which I prefer on it. But yeah, brilliant song.
This is Caroline. And this is Marisa. We're the Eves, and you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat.
So Atlantic City gets on. The next song that gets on side 2 is Mansion on the Hill.
The mansion on the hill.
And this is another unanimous choice where you guys went for the electric version. I've went for the original. So yeah, Mansion on the Hill. We've kind of talked a little bit about it already. But Renee, what does this song do for you?
I think it feels like a positive moment on this album, even though the storyteller is an outsider. It still feels like it gives him joy to know that this mansion is on the outskirts of his town. Even if he's not part of it, it's there. What a shining beacon on the hill or whatever he calls it. And I think the organ helps it feel very dreamlike to me. The organ's gorgeous. And like I say, even though he accepts that it's not for him, it's there. I'm here. We're never going to connect. It enhances his life. And that's interesting to me. That someone, and I'm sure that was a real thing, that the people in that town liked having that mansion nearby, even if it was not theirs to share in. So I like the dreaminess and the nostalgia of it. And I think, Danny's organ is stunningly beautiful. That's why I went with the electric one.
Electric one. Yeah, I mean, it's like the house is almost this, symbolizes a dream or an aspiration to reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out to. Interestingly, this is one of the tracks where I would have went for the original. However, I think both versions are low key and excellent, and I'd happily have either on the album. And I agree with you about the kind of the subtle keyboard in the electric version does really add to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, both versions are excellent, whichever one you listen to.
Yeah, again, the electric version's just got a bit more heft for me. I remember listening to, I think it was the Madison Square Garden live albums. It's just really a good version on there with the E Street Band. So it's different from the one that's on the six-banded set, but I've heard it live a few times, and once you add the full band on it, just lifts it up a bit for me.
Okay, great, thank you. The fourth track and the final on side one of our version of Nebraska is a song that we only get in its original form here, and that is Highway Patrolman.
Man turns his back on his family. Well, he just ain't no good.
And this song tells the story of Joe Roberts, a highway patrolman, and his troubled brother Frankie. And the song explores themes of, I suppose, family loyalty, moral conflict, and I suppose the challenges faced by law enforcement officers. And as I mentioned already, this is my favourite song on the set, and I think it's genius. I think it's like a gripping, emotional, atmospheric movie all rolled into this 5-minute musical piece. Great storytelling, mood, and performance. Love it. Love it. Do you love it too, Rennie?
I do. I mean, I do. It's a screenplay, right? Thank you, Sean Penn, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also, this is kind of a weird thought, but when he says that they dance to the night of the Johnstown flood, right? It reminded me, even though they don't, and I don't know that song, so I don't know if he pulls it in at all. It reminded me of the Tom Waits song where he says Tom Trotwood's Blues, Waltzing Matilda. Do you know? Where the band played Waltzing Matilda. There's like a real life something, and you go, and then he pulls that. It reminded me a little bit of that, which I thought was kind of neat. But I agree with you. In 5 minutes, you get this whole story. And you feel really bad for the outcome. The women in the crying in the bar, and you cheering for Frankie to get away, and all. I mean, it's marvelous, and that's just a God-given talent to take these people out of thin air and create 5 minutes of drama. And you're just sort of stunned by the whole thing. But it's crazy good. I mean. Yeah.
Superb. Thanks, Rennie. So, yeah, it was a unanimous choice. So, Davie, you picked it as well. And I think you were saying this was turned into a full-length movie, I think directed by Sean Penn, the Indian runner, right?
Yeah, so it's, I think it's only about 90 minutes long, but how they've transformed this 5-minute song that's come from, Bruce's imagination, and how the storytelling in the 5 minutes there is brilliant, but to see it elevated into a feature-length movie, and to see these characters come alive, played by David Morse as the policeman and Viggo Mortensen as his brother, and seeing that develop over like 90 minutes. It's a really incredible movie. It's probably very underrated. I wouldn't. You don't really see it kicking about these days, but I had it on DVD from back in the early 2000s. I've had that, and like Sean Penn's directorial career at that time was brought some really good stuff up. Like The Crossing Guard was kind of bit like a story that Bruce Springsteen would tell on this album, but the Indian Runner was just the way they expanded this song into the movie and just see these characters come alive. It's brilliant.
Okay, so that's 4 songs picked for side 1, which runs to 19 minutes. So we're going to take a break there before picking the songs for side 2.
This is Eric Paul Johnson from Face the Music, an Electric Light Orchestra song-by-song podcast. And you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat. Oh dear. That wasn't my fat I trimmed.
Okay, it's time to start picking the songs for Nebraska's second side. It's side B. A reminder, for selection, we're including all 27 songs or non-live songs that feature on the Nebraska 82 Expanded Edition. So the first song that's getting on to side 2 is My Father's House, which was a unanimous choice.
My father's house shines.
I liked it meant the album was coming to an end.
Right.
But no, I think this was probably the most poignant song on the album, and probably one of the most personal for Bruce. And it was a difficult listen to the album for me in terms of being a Bruce fan, but this song did. And after seeing like the film as well, it's probably become a bit more poignant for me. So it was a really nice end to the album. It's although it was sparse, it was quite beautiful.
Yeah. Same for you, Renee?
Yeah, it really, I mean, again, this is sort of an American thing, but, and that's where the porch thing came up for me. It's like, do you walk up steps and go onto a porch? It's not that weird a concept, but feels very American. And then at the end, when he says our sins lie unatoned, it's this isn't as religious really as some of his other songs seem to be, and other albums have a very heavy religious, but I thought this is so true. And I don't know a lot of people, including myself, that have driven by my parents' home, and you remember all of the good stuff and all of the scary stuff and all of the stuff that wasn't so memorable, in a good way. And it's part of you, and I could see this almost, maybe it really is 100% true. And he did walk up to that house and knock on that door. I don't know, but it feels very true. And I agree with Davie. It's very poignant. It's very moving. And I did I think I picked it. He did a live version in Los Angeles that I thought was, again, not fully enhanced with a band, but there was something going on, a little bit of something. It was lovely. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I think again, there's no electric version on the set. It's just the original. And yeah, totally agree with everything you guys say. It's just a beautiful song, great storytelling. Again, I suppose about the complexities of familial relationships there, and yeah, that kind of last verse when he goes up to the house and the dad's not there anymore. It's just great storytelling.
Kind of realizing you can't change the past. Whatever is unatoned is going to remain unatoned, and you just have to recognize.
It's carpe diem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seize the day.
Yeah.
Seize the day.
Going.
It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's it. He's giving us a lesson here. That's it. Seize the day. Okay, so that's kicks off side B for us. The second track is one which Rennie and I went for, and it's actually one of the outtakes from the Nebraska session, so it never got onto the album, and it is The Losing Kind.
New eyes and lessons with a losing kind.
Like Davie said, some of these songs have a very similar sound and feel and all this stuff. But I just thought, I don't know, there's something like there's the winning kind and the losing kind. And, sadly, this guy's always on the losing end, So I thought it was a good sort of summary of most of the songs on this album. It's like there's the kind of people in the world that are just the losing kind of people. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they don't get the break, or they don't have the wherewithal or the ability or whatever. So I just thought, as sort of a little, this is what this is about, losing kind of people. I sort of liked it for that reason, but yeah.
Great. For me, this is the real find from the re-release. I think it's a brilliant song and would have thoroughly deserved a place on the original Nebraska album. Certainly has that mood to it. It's downbeat. It's simple acoustic storytelling. And for those that don't, it's about a man called Frank Davis, who's a truck driver just caught in a series of unfortunate events, shall we say. And the song kind of explores themes of temptation, hopelessness, and the consequences of one's actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see why it never got on the album, the original album, because it's perhaps too similar in musical style, tone, and subject to the likes of specifically Nebraska and Highway Patrolman's, and you can get too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe why it was left off. Right. But I love it, and I would have it on the album. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And Davie, I'm guessing for you, it was just too Nebraska-esque.
Good word.
Actually, you've hit the nail on the head there.
So it doesn't go on for that very reason. Okay. So yeah, the third song that gets on side B is another one which Renee and I went for, and is Open All Night.
How the boss don't dig me, so he put me on the night. It takes me 2 hours to get back where my baby lives now.
And I think, Renee, you went for the electric version.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for the original myself, but what makes the electric one that little bit better for you?
Well, first of all, I just love the energy of the song. It just grabs you right from the start. Boom. But then when the drums come in on that second verse, I'm like, oh, we're in now. We're totally in now. And that just livened it up for me enormously, know. And it felt like an old-fashioned rock and roll riff, Chuck Berry kind of, we're just having fun, we're going to do this. And plus it had a lot of words, which is like a lot of these songs are pretty stark. And this felt like his old writing, like tons of words describing, this thing. So I just think it's fun. And I really do love when the drums pop in and get the whole thing a little bit, just a little more energy and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
And plus, that's no chorus. It's kind of weird. Just like verse, done. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
It got the big tick from you. So yeah, I mean, it tells the story of a working class man which is unusual for a Bruce Springsteen song, right?
Does he have a car?
Well, funnily enough, he does have he embarks on a late night drive across industrial New Jersey to reach his girlfriend Wanda. I know you'll find that hard to believe. And yeah, I mean, the electric version for me, it was maybe, again, personally, I felt it was a wee bit too clean and flat compared to the original kind of lo-fi acoustic one. I just preferred the atmosphere of that, which is why I went for it. But yeah, really, really good song. I'm glad we've got it on here.
Hey, this is Marv from Pods Like Us, the show where we help you to find your next podcast addiction. And you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat.
Which brings us to our final song on side B, final song on the album. And it is, again, another one Renee and I went for. And it is, if memory serves, the final song on the original album, which is Reason to Believe.
Hey, people find some reason to believe.
And I think, again, Renee, you went for the electric one on here. So yeah, tell us why.
Well, I mean, I think that the fullness of it, again, spoke to me. But in terms of picking the song, if there was any line that made me pick the song, it's the last one. At the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe. It's like a moment of light in this otherwise very dark. And he's just, it starts with a stinking dead dog. I mean, what's sadder than the guy poking a stick at a dead dog? But you know what? It's okay. Because at the end of the day, we all find a reason to wake up again and try again. And we believe, okay, I'm in. I love that. And like I said, I guess I'm just a sucker for the band doing what they do and bringing something additional. I don't think it was certainly Bruce's music to record however he likes, obviously. I just don't think it was complete without them. I heard the other one. I just thought, oh, well, this is what it should have been. But it's me.
Yeah, it's this kind of song really about trying to find meaning and purpose even in the face of life throwing stuff at you, life's hardships. Yeah, I went for it as well. And again, I think for similar reasons why you went with the electric one, I would go with the acoustic one. So
Okay.
my thoughts are very similar to Open All Night
Okay.
in terms of why I would go for that. Davie, not in the running for you?
Well, no.
You're not even changing your mind,
Like-
even a tiny little tiny bit that you're saying, I'm going to listen to these again.
I'm quite happy reducing, what was it? It's like 40-minute album down to 20.
Oh,
So I can move on to the next one.
Davie's turning it into an EP.
That would make a great EP.
It'd be a brilliant EP, to be fair, yeah. It'd be a great EP. Okay, well, there we are. That is our 4 tracks for side B. So 4 songs picked for side B, which runs to 17 minutes. So in total, we have 8 tracks, and the supercut comes in at 36 minutes. Now time to reveal the songs that did not make the grade, of which there are quite a number. And, you know, sometimes when you get, obviously in advance of each, these kind of shows, I get the list of tracks each guest would select, and you're genuinely surprised some don't get picked. I am so surprised neither of you guys went for Johnny 99 in its electric form. That's so Johnny 99 on the album, you've got the original, which is lo-fi acoustic, then there's an electric version, and that was one of the songs I thought was better in its electric form. And I thought you guys would have jumped on this completely. Why did it not do it for you?
I mean, it's like almost twice as long electric. You know, it's significantly longer. I felt like these kinds of stories of down on your luck, hard working guys were better told than the other ones. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I wasn't crazy just even about the idea of got 99 years or whatever, and that's why they call me this. It felt very throwbacky to me. And not as compelling a story as the other ones were, I think.
Davie, so you're talking about this album being too morose. So here we've got a jaunty, almost Chuck Berry rock and roll song, which actually sounds like Chuck Berry's You Never Can Tell, which was featured in Pulp Fiction, and you didn't go for it.
He does sing You Never Can Tell quite a lot in his lives.
He does.
Yeah, so I was kind of like looking through this album last night, the live version, and I was like, it just doesn't. I didn't think I got that far into that song, and I just immediately fast forwarded it. Nope, it's not captivating my attention. Next.
Yeah, I think that might be one you should revisit. I think you'll like that one. I really do. Another one that didn't make it was State Trooper, which we only get in its original form. And again, I chose it. I would have had it on here, and it's very similar in a lot of ways to Highway Patrolman.
Mm-hmm.
For me, great storytelling set to simple
Yeah.
music, and I think the narrative is set against the backdrop of a late night drive on the New Jersey Turnpike, where the protagonist, lacking proper documentation, faces the consequences of their past actions. Highway Patrol or State Trooper, please don't stop me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Was this in contention for you, Renee?
I think for the reason you just said, it wasn't. I just thought, how many cops are we going to hear from? In a way, if I had to cut them, I'm gonna, you know, you have to imagine the phrase, if I had to cut something. It's just like, one cop is enough. I think I'm good.
Okay.
And I like the story better on Highway Patrolman rather than just this one person's anxiety about their evening and why they might get pulled over or whatever the case may be.
So too many police officers.
Maybe for one album. Just saying.
Okay.
I think, Chris, most of these songs would be really good, like, say, for the rare time, like Bruce Springsteen actually came over to your house and he had his guitar with him, and then obviously he's not got a band or any drums or anything like that, so if he was just there with his guitar singing his song, you thought, this turned out one of the best nights of my life, you know? How often do you get Bruce Springsteen in your house singing these songs, but just listen to them on their own, you're like, it's a bit Highway Patrolman's a lot better song than State Trooper.
Okay. The one I would have had, is Used Cars, which is about Bruce's father, Doug, who spent a lot of time buying, driving and fixing used cars. And it tells a story about one of his trips to a dealership where he buys yet another used cars. And he says if he ever hits the lottery, he'll finally get a brand new one. So yeah, for me, simple, great storytelling set to acoustic guitar, I think glockenspiel and harmonica. So was that in the conversation for either of you guys, or again just a bit too much like some of the other stuff already on that album?
I think he's cornered the used car market quite well in some of his back catalogue, so I think we can go without this one for me.
This one felt, as much as this album is full of sad stories and sad characters, this one feels a little angry to me. Like I'm never riding in a used car again. When I get my chance, like we're going to show everybody. And it just felt very angry. And I thought this is different. The feeling of it felt resentful as opposed to Mansion on the Hill, which felt uplifted. So I don't know. That probably is why, is that I just thought I don't want angry people. I don't mind hearing sad stories or tragic.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to get into your anger about you were dealt a bad hand, and we're stuck with the used car. And so not for me.
Maybe prefer a song about Davie's car tire not being slashed.
There it is. That's positive. Yes. And I prefer songs with dead dogs and
I'll send on the photo, don't worry. So you can see my slashed
people
tire.
getting chased on highways and lobsters in Atlantic City. I'm in, but whatever.
Okay. Now, Renee, you went for a song, Downbound Train, which we get two versions of on here, which is an outtake from Nebraska in an acoustic version, and we get an electric version as well. And it's a song which would eventually be released on the Born in the USA album. So yeah, why did you go for this one?
I think the idea of a downbound train representing, again, losing, and not being you're the losing kind. You're on a downbound train. You're not heading in a good direction. So I like that sort of allusion to that. And I like I had a job. I had a girl. I love the energy of it. It's just sort of, I'm in. Jump on. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. But at the end of it, guess what? Do you ever feel like you're just going down? Yeah, sometimes you do. And things don't go well. And she leaves. And again, these are not on roads he hasn't gone down before, clearly. But, I really do like the energy of the band and the rock feel of this in the electric version. So, yeah. And like I said, the short phrases, the simple message.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And it's one of those ones that I swithered over including or not, and I ultimately didn't go for it. And I think maybe because I think the Born in the USA version of the three is the best one. I think it's more polished individual than the acoustic one. Still a good alternative version to have, though. And I agree with you about the electric one here. It's really good, obviously, because it's faster and it's very much like a bar room blues stomp, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's excellent. And I probably should have put it on, to be fair. And I'm now regretting the decision not to. It's really, really good. Yeah. It's another one I think you like, Davie, with repeated listening. Listen to the electric version of Downbound Train. I think you'll like it. 2 or 3 times and you'll be in there.
It's like it's like a pre-sketch of the Mona Lisa. I mean, it's like we all know what the Mona Lisa looks like. We know what this song should sound like, and then seeing it stripped back, it's like it's almost like a half like.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's almost like the acoustic version, like the basic outline sketch, and then they've had a bit of colour to it for the electric version, but it's not quite what it is Born in the USA.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you.
Although I guess, if you refer back to the film again, like that's all he had in him at that time. You know what I mean? So he couldn't paint the whole picture. And even when he heard it, he didn't want it. He was really trying to, this is all I have. So I agree that I think that's a really good observation, Davie. Just partly painted, not fully painted, but that's what the artist wanted to do. So that's the painting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey everyone out there in the podcasting world, this is Widescreen. This is Sam Wiles. You are listening to another episode of the Trimming the Musical Fat podcast.
So another one that you went for, Renee, was a Nebraska outtake. which was On the Prowl. So yeah, what was your
Well, talk
rationale behind that one?
about scary, right? I mean, this guy is what is it, Starkweather? Before he found his girl, he's looking, and I just thought, again, this is a really, really hard look at somebody who's not looking to uplift the world. He's out looking, he's got bad intention. But again, it's very repetitive, but that's okay for the point of this. When he does the search and search and search, and at the end, it's just like,
Yeah.
this guy he knows what he wants and he's just going to keep going. I thought it was just so powerful in that sense. It's not like I love the idea of a lunatic out there looking to cause mayhem and harm. I don't love that idea, but I love the way he presented it.
So other ones. So we're now kind of looking at songs which none of us went for, and maybe there's one song that is quite interesting, or maybe people will find quite interesting, that we didn't go for, which is Born in the USA. Obviously, we're all familiar with that song, title track of the 1984 album, huge hit single, one of Bruce's most recognizable songs, and it was included in this set as a demo acoustic version and also an electric version, and none of us went for it. So, Davie, any reason why?
Yeah, I think,
are we back to the Mona Lisa type thing again?
Yeah, I'll refer to my answer I gave half an hour ago, and I mixed it a little bit there. It's like two different versions, only drastically different from the released version, and I just can't quite get used to them. Like, even like when he has done the acoustic version live, it's not. Don't get me wrong, the lyrics are brilliant, but it's the music that makes it for me. I mean, the way the E Street Band have done it on the released version is just so much better than what is now. It's nice to listen to the lyrics of the acoustic version, so you really get a feel of what the song does mean. But then once you put the E Street Band onto it, people forget the meaning of the song and start using it for their presidential campaigns, like back in the days when they thought, no, this is a song about the Vietnam War. Go on.
I mean, I think in the two versions presented here it's just a more downbeat song musically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how you keep the same lyrics, and then the version we're all familiar with, it's a much more of an anthem. It's upbeat, it's iconic, it's ubiquitous. And for me, it's better in that format, if you like, the more upbeat anthem version with all the bells and whistles and his keyboard on it. Yeah. Is that what you're thinking as well, Renee?
Yes, I agree with you. I'm not wild about this song in general, and it's a stupid reason not to be wild about it. And it's that this is the song where, again, he broke through to many, many more multi-millions of people. And as somebody who was there before, you're one of those snobby people that go, oh, but you didn't hear. Do you know what it doesn't make any sense.
You're not a real fan.
It's so stupid. I fully own that. But it's kind of like, well, why didn't you hear him back then? Because he was still really, what took you this long? And it was, again, a breakthrough pleaser, if you will. So it was just sort of, well, good for you. Yeah, I'm really happy for you. And it's not like I'm diminishing the song. It's a very powerful song. And it clearly, continues to make impressions on people. But it doesn't matter to me that he did it. That sounds horrible. Okay. But it doesn't matter where he did it or how he did it or when he put it out or when he was great before that. He's great after it. And that was just a moment where everybody got to say, who's this guy? Wow.
Yeah.
So good for him.
So we had Child Bride, which is a Nebraska outtake.
I actually flirted with that for a minute.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And then I just thought, no, I didn't. I kind of loved the honesty of it, but at the same time, I just thought, what are you doing now? How old's this girl? I had sort of a philosophical moment about it. So, but I did think about it. I did for half a second.
Yeah, well, to quote Bruce, it's a song in which the protagonist violates the Mann Act, MANN, and is left to ponder his fate. This is a work in progress, so more like a work without progress. I worked a real long time in the song and could never quite get it right. I spent so much time in it, I thought I'd include it to see what you think. And as such, end quote, and as such, Bruce would later set it to a more upbeat backing, dispose of the entire original ending, and reinvent the song as Working on the Highway. So
Wow.
there you go.
Well, good
Which
for
is
him.
interesting to
That's
find
a better
out.
song. I like that better.
Yeah, I agree. And again, maybe in this form as well, it's perhaps a bit too similar to other tracks on the
Yeah.
Nebraska album to make me want to include it.
Agreed.
Davie's nodding enthusiastically.
There's a lot of similarity there, I would have to admit.
Yes.
Another song we never went for was Pink Cadillac, which was a Nebraska outtake. And of course, that song went on to be a big hit for Natalie Cole in the 1980s. And I think for me, that's the first time I ever heard the song. It was Natalie Cole's one. And I've subsequently heard a couple of different live versions from Bruce. For me personally, I found this version pretty unremarkable, and I could see why he never put it on the album.
Mm-hmm. I like the other
If
one.
it had been the version that appears on the tracks box, 100% is going on now because it's a great song. But the 4 disc tracks from back in, how long ago would that be, Renee? That's a long time ago that came out. It must be the early 2000s they released that. Yeah, the version on there is brilliant. It's similar to the live version.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, listen to it, I went, that is not the same song.
Yeah, Renee?
I like the later one too. I mean, I do like the song in its later version. So, yeah, this didn't do much for me. It felt a little out of place,
Yeah. We also had the big Payback, which was I think the B-side to Atlantic City. And for me, I can see totally why it was a B-side. I just thought it was a pretty unremarkable 2-minute acoustic rock and roll song.
Same. It felt like it didn't get, I don't know what he said about this one either, but it felt like it didn't really get developed into what maybe it could have been. I don't know. But I agree with you. 2 minutes. Did we start?
Yeah.
The end? I don't know.
Yeah, it just passed me by. So Gun in Every Home, a Nebraska outtake. Yeah, tell us about that one, Rennie.
I wasn't wild about that story, I guess. I didn't love it. I mean, I listened to it a couple of times. I don't know it as well as some of the others, but I just thought, again, not a very long song. So there wasn't a lot to get into there, but I just thought, no, not really.
Yeah.
I could have added it and still been under my time limit, but I just didn't like it enough.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was another one which could easily have got on Nebraska. I do love the lyrics about a family man, moving to the suburbs and living what seems like an idyllic life, but there's that undercurrent of fear there. So he keeps a secret in a dresser drawer of his bright little house.
I know. And I'm thinking
his handgun.
That's a real thing. I'm sure that's millions of people who don't lock their guns up and put them in their dresser drawer.
Yeah.
It's real.
So, I did like the song, but perhaps not better than some of the others which made the original album. But yeah, good. I'm delighted I've got that. So, let's reveal again the 8 tracks that make up the TTMS supercut of Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. So we've got Nebraska, Atlantic City, Mansion on the Hill, Highway Patrolman, My Father's House, Losing Kind, Open All Night, and Reason to Believe, and by and large, it's the electric versions that feature here. And I now need to place Nebraska, the original album, into the TTMF Hall of Fame. So currently at 10, we've got Paul McCartney's Egypt Station. At 9, Aerosmith's Got a Grip. At 8, Beck's Odelay. At 7, Elton John's Blue Moves. At 6, Alice in Chains' self-titled album. At 5, U2's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. At 4, Arcade Fire's The Suburbs. At 3, Bruce Springsteen's The Rising. At 2, Radiohead's The Bends. And at 1, Cold and Why. Where's Nebraska going to go? I'll tell you where it's going to go. Number 1. All you naysayers like Davie, it's going in at number 1.
It's your podcast, so, you get to say number 1.
Davie's already horrified it's beating out Radiohead. He's disgusted.
This is ridiculous. Okay, well.
Game over. So, that brings us too near the end. So parting thoughts on the whole Electric Nebraska release then for you both. Davie?
Yep, unspectacular compared to the the unspectacular original album. I don't think it had much to it for me. I don't think I had a lot of different choices to make apart from the Atlantic City.
Okay. And Renee, for you?
I mean, I think I read something, it was Stephen, I think, said, he made the album for himself. And that feels very true to me. I think the Electric album was for the fans. More, not fans like you, Stephen, who fully embraced the raw Nebraska. So I think in that sense, I'll yes, the album was as close to him as you could get personally. And he did it for himself. It's direct. It's a very artistic statement. But I think as a fan, I love hearing the band add their gifts to those songs. I think it, for me, much more enjoyable listening experience.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm actually holding up the box set for those that are just listening and not watching. We have the box set here, a 4-disc vinyl and the Blu-ray in there as well. So I love it. I've now got more songs. Maybe don't love all the new songs, but there's gold in there as well. And yeah, it's great to have variations of a lot of classic songs in my book. So a really, really good package there, and I've loved revisiting it, which is always great when there's re-releases of albums by artists you love.
Right.
It does mean you dig them out again, give them a good listen. So yeah, that's been very opportune to do it. But yeah, it is time for us to jump into our pink Cadillac and hit the highway. Davie and Renee, thank you very much for joining me again today. I think this is our 4th year in a row now of getting together to record some Bruce stuff. Would that be right?
3 or 4, yeah. Something like that.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Impossible to believe. It's been a joy. I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, and we're glad you're here. Yeah, to get the true American perspective on the boss's work.
One American's perspective, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's always great to catch up. So yeah, thanks for coming along, and thanks to everybody for listening. And if you want more Bruce from us, we have various episodes that go back to, I think, from Born to Run all the way through to Tunnel of Love, and The Rising as well. So yeah, check them out, and come back next time for another episode of Trimming the Musical Fat. So yeah, so until next time, keep trimming.
Trimming the Musical Fat podcast is a Stephen and Paul Nicholson production. We'd love to hear from you. You'll find our contact details in the episode description. Want more TTMF? Head to our socials, join our Facebook group, follow us on TikTok, subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out our website at trimmingthemusicalfat.com.